Good morning, and welcome to Corner Class Tampa. This is the recap show where we are discussing Corner Class Tampa 19, four ways to fund your deals. Four ways to fund your deals. So we had a great corner class. We discussed four ways. Actually, we gave you more. We gave you more than just the four ways. We came up with six, seven, eight different ways where you can fund your deals. So if you're looking to fund your deals, to find money for those deals, and you want to dig a little bit deeper in four plus ways of funding your deals, stay tuned. This is the show for you. Four ways to fund your deals. I'll see you on the other side. And we're back. So in Corner Class 19, we discussed four ways to fund your deal. I'm going to add my co-host Jackie on the line. Jackie, we can't hear you. So it looks like Jackie is having a little technical problems. We couldn't hear her, but let's go right into it. We got to bring Jackie back in on the next break. We're going to talk about four ways to fund your deal. Now, in our corner class, we had many ways that was covered by our expert contributors. And what they did was they broke it down, four ways of funding. They broke it down into to different segments. The first thing the first way to fund a deal that we discussed was go to your local credit union and community banks. Now, a couple of different reasons why. A lot of lenders have your initial qualifications, and they put layers on top of that. So you have your basic qualifications, and then what they do is they add their own layer on top of that. But more importantly, the decision to approve the loan or not approve the loan is not in-house or not locally. They may have a branch here in Tampa, but they may have the decision-making capabilities in another state, and that is doesn't know how the local conditions are in Tampa. They don't know you. They're looking at just your paperwork. With the decision-making ability outside of the state of Tampa or outside of that local bank, it really is a little bit more difficult for you to get approved for a bank loan, a big bank loan. So community banks and credit unions, they already have a history with you in most cases. They, you bank with them or they're in your community. So if you're looking to build in that community, or if they've funded projects that are in the same community, and this is similar to the project they funded, you have a lot better chance of getting the loan. I should say that, I'm not a loan originator. This is strictly for entertainment purposes. What I say doesn't necessarily guarantee you a loan. So don't sue a brother. You say, hey, David, I had a 420 credit score, and I went to my community bank, and they didn't give me an $8 million loan. Well, they're not. The community bank only goes so far and only have a lending authority so much, and you can only dip below that minimum threshold for credit score and the ability to repay the loan so much. But community bank in general, if they know you, if they know your project, if they have done a project similar to that in that community and it was successful, you have a little bit better chance of getting that loan. All right, so let's see if we can bring Jackie back in. I see Jackie is still having a little
I can hear you.
A
Can
little
you hear me?
problem with her background, virtual background there. So we're gonna bring back Jackie back in a little bit later on. Um, let's go right to the next one. Hard money. Hard money. Now, hard money is from a lender that traditionally purchases or actually funds, I should say, projects that are not fundable, or you have a little bit of a harder. It would have a little bit of a harder time to be funded via a traditional lender. So, a lot of flippers and flippers, they uh, they use hard money because the hard money lender, while most have some type of minimal credit score, minimum requirements, majority of that is that they are looking primarily at the loan, or they're looking at the project instead of the person. So if you have a project that it generates what we call a lot of meat on the bone, where there's a lot of profit potential, and if the deal makes sense, you get funded. They'll fund based on the project. We had in this particular one, we had Temple View Capital, which is Rick Sanchez, which is one of the lenders that we use. There are many hard money lenders, um, but Rick's terms is typical, a little bit better actually than some of the other hard money lenders' terms. And he required a minimum credit score. Um, Usually, it's a tiered system where it goes by your experience. If you've done a lot of deals, you get a little bit better rate. If it's your first time, you don't get as good of a rate. It goes by again the deal, um, some credit score, and then you pay, your down payment and closing costs. Usually, there's some points associated with it, and so the money is just going to cost you more, guys. To be honest with you, hard money is probably as these lenders, as we talk about the various lenders, hard money is probably the most expensive money that you're going to get, but it is other people's money. And so if you don't have the money for the deal, or if you are not bankable for whatever reason, hard money may be your only option. And if the deal has enough skin in the game, then paying a little bit more to make the deal versus no deal at all is the only play, and it's a win-win. The hard money lender is taking more risk funding your deal, funding you back in your deal, and you have very little to no other options. So finding a hard money lender and being able to leverage your money is pretty critical. Whether this leveraging your money is critical, whether it's hard money lender or it's a traditional bank, or angel investors or something like that. Being able to leverage your money so you can have multiple deals up is pretty crucial, because you're not. I don't care how much money you have, you're gonna run out of it. As you get bigger and bigger deals. You have, let's say you had a couple of 100,000, 150,000 to play with. Well, that means that your total purchase, flips, and everything, if you're not using leverage, is $150,000. That's your cap. If you had another deal that happened in the same time frame, you're going to not be able to take advantage of it. But if you can leverage your money, yes, your cost of money will be more, but you will be able to multiply your ability to take on new deals and take on new opportunities. So hard money lender was another way. Then we moved to FHA VA construction loans. So Gilbert Bennett talked about this. Is the FHA 203K, and then the VA rehab loan. So the FHA 203K loan is the construction version of the FHA loan. Now, what's nice about it is is these are residential loans. So you're looking at, you can purchase up to 4 units for residential. So you can do a fourplex or duplex or triplex. You can live in one, and then while you're rehabbing, or rehab it and then live into it. And that's what's really neat, is that the barrier to entry for these type of loans are fairly low. You're paying 3.5%. They are giving you a loan based on the value of the home plus the rehab, and then they give you money to rehab the loan. So that's FHA 203K, and then the VA is fairly very similar to that. Of course, VA is you got to be a veteran, serve your country in some way, that type of thing. But which a lot of the non-veterans or people who they're not able to get that type of loan. So the FHA loan 203K is probably the route to go if you are, you do meet a minimum credit score, you have a little 3.5% minimum in the bank. That is probably the route to go. FHA 203K and then VA rehab. I want to remind everyone that this is a live show, so you can send questions in the chat box that you're watching the show on. So if you looking at our Facebook page or our other live sources, then you can please feel free to put your chat in. We are live in Community and Associates. We're live in Corner Class Tampa Facebook, Community and Associates Facebook. We have our private Corner Class Tampa group. If you have a question, members in that group that you have a question, please feel free, put it in the chat bar, and we will be able to answer the question live. Hopefully, we'll be able to answer that question live here. If not, I'm not a lender. I'm not a loan originator. If we can't answer it, I will have one of the experts come back and give an answer on our next show, which is CCT 20. So again, FHA through VA are great ways of purchasing rehab properties. What I see a lot of people do is they get try to get a duplex or a fourplex, and they live in one, rehab the others. If you buy right, the tenants of the fourplex, 2 of them, if you buy right, should cover your load, cover your mortgage, and have a little bit left for the if anything goes wrong, repairs, that type of thing. And then that third unit is profit. So let's say and then of course you're living in the 4th unit, so you're living for free. You're making some profit while they're paying your loan. So that's an awesome way to start the real estate game. So just that scenario again, let's go over it. You buy a property. Let's say the property is $200,000 and it needs $30,000 to fix up. So what the FHA 203K people will do is they're do an appraisal, and then they say, after after repair value, after the place is fixed up, it's going to be worth $400,000. He's buying it, rehabbing it. Let's say $300,000. He's buying it for $200,000, $30,000 repairs, and then after it's all done, it's worth $300,000. So that would make sense. And then you have 4 units. You're living in one, and then you can rent each unit out for a nice round number of $1,000. And let's say your mortgage should be under $2,000, but let's say it is $2,000. So the first 2 tenants will take care of your mortgage. You may have a little bit left for repairs, future repairs, because there's always going to be something that breaks. Your last tenant would be your profit. And so you not only are you living free, but you're making $1,000 a month minimum. And as all the while you're playing the equity game, where your mortgage is going down, but most likely, if you bought right, your equity in the property is going up. So that's why I always say that you make your money in the buy, not the sell, the buy. So if you really look at how you buy the property, that's pretty important. So a couple years later, 4 or 5 years, you lived in it, you made some profit. You want to move on to a different house. You can then use another FHA 203K loan to buy that other one or some other vehicle to buy the other property. So FHA 2 or 3K loan is very popular, very powerful. All right. Home equity lines of credit. These next two are super important, super popular. In fact, that's a lot of people, that's how they really start playing the real estate game, is they pull money, equity out of the home that they're currently living in. So home equity line of credit, a lot of people are doing it. What you do is that if you lived in a property and the property, you give you a scenario, you bought the property for 200,000 and now, 10 years ago, and now the property is worth 320,000, which is quite easy. And also you pay down over 10 years that 200,000. So let's say you pay down that 200,000, 50,000. So now you owe 150,000 on the property. And yet property is worth, 320,000. So what would happen is you go to the bank, say, hey, listen, I have a decent amount of equity in my property. And I want to use that equity to purchase real estate or for investing or some reason like that. What the bank is going to do is they're going to look at your property and they go through their paperwork, do an appraisal, and they will allow you to take 80% value of that, whatever that appraised amount is. So let's go with, I have 320, 80%, 256. And then, like I said, you have 100,000, 150. Let's say you owe 150 on it. So that means that you have roughly $100,000 that you can use, that you can pull equity, that you can pull out of that house. And then that 100,000 can be used for, hopefully you want to use that money that can make more money. So whatever vehicle that you pull it out from the house, you would use that to make more money. So I would not, here's the problem. Back in the day, a lot of people got HELOC loans and they, they used it to buy items that would not generate a return. They'll go buy a boat or motorcycle. Nothing wrong with boats and motorcycles. But if you're going to be using equity in your home, you might want to use it for a vehicle, something that will could be used to generate income, and not, use it for something that, is a deficit. It's not going to generate income at all. And now, something happens and you're in a bad spot. But if you use that money to make money, then that's a different story. So home equity lines of credit are great. As long as you use it to make money instead of using it to, fund a vacation or something like that, where you have zero return on your investment. All right. So we have last of the residential side, and then we're going to go to take a break, and then we're going to go to some of the commercial stuff. Now, refi loans, well, you refinance your house, is pretty much it's kind of the same concept as your home equity line of credit, your HELOC, where you are pulling equity from your home. A lot is very popular now because the interest rates are so low. And Gilbert Bennett made a very good case for, because the interest rates are so low, it may be better to refi your home instead of do a home equity line of credit. Basically, the refi your loan. He said that the loan itself is cheaper, with a lot of banks giving discounts, or special deals to rehab. And then you have your interest rates are super low on a 15 and 20 year rehab, that it is very attractive. And a lot of people I know are rehabbing it, their property. What they now, some are doing like a consolidation rehab where, um, you are actually okay. So let me go back a little bit and talk about rehab loans. You're still dealing with the equity in your home. You bought a home. I'm gonna give you the same scenario. You bought a home that is, 200,000 dollars back in the day. You then sold the home. I'm sorry. You then, pay down the interest on the home over. Let's say you had the home for 10 years, so now you owe around 150. And let's say, your house appreciated and is worth 350 now, so you have roughly 200,000 from 150 you owe to 350 now, $200,000 spread there, and you're going to refi and pull a portion of that, if or as much as that 200,000 out as possible, in cash. So you still have to make things fair. You still have that 100 to $130,000 equity that you're going to be pulling out. You and you use that money to make money. The difference is that you have low interest payments, low interest rates on that money. So it's a fixed amount that you're going to be paying to repay that loan over the term of the loan. So whether that term is, like Gilbert mentioned, 15 or 20 years, you have a fixed amount. The fixed amount is low. So as long as, and you're paying, let's say 2%, 3% on that loan. So as long as you are using that money and you're making more than 3%, it's a win. You're winning. And that's what some people are doing to fund their real estate, dreams, and to play the real estate game is they refinancing their property, pulling out the equity, and then using that equity, that pulling out the cash, in the equity in cash, and then using that cash to fund their real estate investing. Great way to doing it. I know some people that are, bought the house or from way back in the day, in 20 years, or the house is nearly paid for. And they, I was looking at one the other day. She bought her house for 200 and something. Not a house worth $600,000. She got 300, 400, 500, $400,000 in equity just sitting in the house and not using it for anything. Luckily, she's, has a good career, and she's not really interested in pulling out cash at this time. But that is one option. There's other options that where mama gave her the property, or daddy gave the family the property, and this was mama house, and but the kids don't want to keep it, that type of thing. And this is one option of selling outright, where they can use the money and still maintain the value, some of the equity in the house. Or the kids do want to keep it, but they want to, be a little bit more liquid. Then refinancing is another way where you can do that. Home equity lines of credit, refinancing, kind of the same flavor, where you are using equity in the home that you live in, and you are taking that equity and using that money, cashing out on the equity, using that money to purchase and play the real estate game. All right, so those are 5 ways that we discussed inside of the corner class. We're going to take a break, and When we come back, we're going to talk about a couple of bonus ones. See you on the other side. All right, so bonus. We also had a traditional banker, Roy Binger with Poly Bank. He talked about a couple of different ways where you can get money that when you become bankable or starting to become bankable. Now, this is for a little bit more advanced flipper. This is primarily for people who are looking at moving outside of the residential space. Because remember, residential, when you talk about residential, you're talking about 4 units or less. You are, do some multifamily with respect to single family, duplex, triplex, and a fourplex. When you start wanting to do more than that or outside of a certain price range, you're really starting to get outside of the residential range, and you want to start, building a relationship with the bank, or making getting yourself bankable to where you can move outside of that. And that's when he talked about a guidance line. The guidance line is for lack of a better word, like a commercial line of credit. Your entity have to qualify, and in most cases you're doing a personal guarantee. But what it is that it is a intro line to the bank, where if you don't mess it up, they give you more money. So they may start you off at 250,000, $500,000 for a guidance line. As you mentioned, you have to meet certain criteria, certain banking criteria. It also helps with them that you've developed a relationship, and the project you want to do is something that they've done before. That if you're doing a development or rehab in a certain community, they're in that community, or someone has done something like that, or the development fits into a criteria, or something that they're comfortable with, their wheelhouse. Most cases you may have to get a mentor or someone to help you with that deal. In almost every, I shouldn't say almost every, but in most cases, that's what he mentioned, is that you have a mentor, you have someone help you with the deal, someone has been there and done that before. So you're looking at partnership, mentoring, that type of deal. And they give you an intro guidance line, and then if you are successful with some of the smaller stuff, they increase that line. And in the 2 or 3 smaller deals, and then you would have maybe $1 million line, and then you will grow from there. Now, again, these are projects where you are a little bit more experienced. You've done a couple of successful smaller jobs. You develop you've been developing a relationship with the bank. Most of the banks, again, going back to commercial and community banks, those are the banks that you probably will have the most success with. Not necessarily, some of the larger banks where the decision-making ability is outside of the community. Now, when you are a much larger company, then you may want to, graduate to one of the big banks, but most of everyone that are at this stage would probably fare better with a community bank or a credit union and down. Again, the typical you should expect if you brand new that family and friends money, which is angel investing, and hard money is probably the start, and then you graduate up. Unless you have a home, then you can pull out some HELOC or refinance your home. But as you grow and able to become more bankable, then the guidance line is probably the way you want to go, with a mentor and establishing that relationship with the bank. Once you're there, then and you don't mess up, you'll be growing more and more and more with the bank and becoming stronger and stronger, where you can get the real line of credit, where you can get $5 million, $10 million to do some of the larger projects. So just to recap, credit unions and community banks, that's where you are, that's your goal once you become more and more bankable. Hard money, that's probably where you're going to start. That's typically where most flippers, most investors, young investors start using hard money of some kind. FHA 203K, again, great way if you have a credit score and documented income. You're looking at using that to purchase a home, and then the 203K part is for refinancing. So a great way. I know a lot of people started that way with a duplex with the FHA 203K loan, and living rent free, and then using that money that they made to purchase the next deal. Here's the key on that one, though. Don't use the money. Don't use the money to buy personal stuff. Reinvest. Use that money to reinvest to the next project. That's super, super important. So in that scenario that we talked about, where you're living in one, you got 3 other tenants, and you're making $1,000 plus or minus $1,000, $1,500 a month. If you use that money, then you don't have your stake for your next property. So you really want to save that money that you're making from the initial investment property to fund your next property. Super important. Home equity line of credit, you have a property. In home equity line of credit, like I said, the refi loan, similar. You have a property that you live in, you purchase, and you have equity in that property, and you pull in equity outside of the property. Awesome way to fund your deals. And then lastly, when you become stronger, you have your guidance lines, and you've developed a relationship with a community bank. So those are 4+ ways where you can fund your deals. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us via our Facebook page, or via join our community. Corner Class Tampa is a closed group. But if you go to and search for Corner Class Tampa, you can see it. You can join that group, and you will have exclusive content that's unique to that group. One thing that the advantage of the group is that you have backstage access to these Corner Class rooms. You're able to ask questions. You have exclusive content that's only for that group. And right now, we have a project that we have going on. We call it the 83rd Street Project. And at just being a member of the Corner Class group, they will have first time exclusive access to me, and it's my project and how I go about flipping that, purchasing, rehabbing, and flipping that home. And you will see live what type of profit, if any, I'm hoping there's a profit that I will get out of it. So that's exclusive to the Corner Class Tampa group. Great way to, if you have questions about the group, or if you need access to me, that's probably, or any of the expert contributors, that's probably the way to go. So I recommend that you would join that group. Please like our Facebook page, YouTube channel. And we on like I said, we're on Instagram, Twitter. Like those, support us and ask any questions that you want to have. If you have ideas about a certain or want to know about a certain way to acquire property that we haven't covered, please ask the question. We'll generate a show around it if it's enough interest in it, and then we'll show you how that could be a great way of acquiring property, or maybe it's not so great, and we'll discuss it then, because there's a lot of ways where you can that we don't include in the show where you can acquire property that's probably may not be the best way to do it. So we if you have a different way, or if you want to have a question about a different way, and we'll give you pros and cons and bring in an expert to tell you, hey, it's great, best thing since sliced bread, or maybe you shouldn't do it that way because they may lock your butt up doing it that way. So those are show ideas that we would do, and benefits of being part of the Corner Class community. All right, so let's check the comments, see if anyone. Okay, no comments, and I know Jackie is having technical difficulties, and she had a couple of questions. What I would do is I would post the answers to those questions in our Corner Class Tampa group, and so they can see it there. And I want to also mention that on next Wednesday we have a new show. The show is Your First Flip. This is a comprehensive show where we are discussing, what happens, what are the steps that you need to take once you've gotten that contract. Now, we talked about wholesaling. This is not a wholesaling show where you're just moving paper. This is, okay, I have a contract. I'm going to purchase a house with the idea of rapidly reselling the house after I have improved the house. So if you want to know the steps that are necessary for your first flip, see us next Wednesday at 11:30. We will talk about that. We'll talk about all the steps that you need. It's going to be a great show. Stay grinding.